Hey everyone, just before talking about test automation using Appium, I'll just tell you about our journey. So when we joined the Musk, we started this mobile division. At that point of time, our tech stack was quite scattered, it was fragmented. We were doing everything because we were not focusing too much on the technology side, developing in-house talent. We were just trying to use the outsource. At any given point of time, we are utilizing help from the outside. So result of that, we were having application on the native sites, Ionic, React Native. Even we have tried the low-code platform out system and those kind of thing. And once we decided, so that was quite a long time in our agenda that we have to make it consolidate in terms of the technology as well as in terms of our shared utilities and the code bases and whatever the experience that we are having. When we are deciding to go through that, the only challenge that we see is like we wanted to rewrite. We are having 40 plus mobile application, 7 to 8 is the core application which is consolidating. And just give you an idea about Musk, like from operation wise, it's huge. Most of the people you might not be knowing about it, but please visit to our booth also to know more. We will tell you more in details there, but just to connect to the session, let's set up the context. So testing automation is essential part because we wanted to focus on solving real problems, not only dealing with the incidents, bug fixing, because we are going to rewrite a whole lot of code and we are going to publish those applications. So it is going to be can be a delaying our in terms of progress and the capability that we want to build. We already know about the kind of testing basics that Flutter provided: unit test, widget test, integration test. So we won't be going to talk about first two, unit test and widget test. Those are the kind of independent testers. They are trying to take care of a module. In terms of unit test, take care of the method or classes. You can validate that. A widget test will just going to validate functionality of widget, how your widget is going to function. But integration test, it's not exactly integration test, it's a UI flow test. It's you simulate how the user is going to use your application. You just try to replicate that scenarios and keep running without having manual intervention. So just a quick check. How many people are using automation with their application? So one or two or few more hands. So yeah, so you already know, but for others, I'll just try to give you a more idea. For Flutter specifically, we are using a Appium driver. And there are two ways to connect with the Appium driver. First one, we directly connect via the application, and that is in basically a recommended way. Not exactly a recommended way, but the Flutter provided framework way. Using that, we connect. We can write in our source code itself our scripts and start connecting with the app. And second way is the over the WebSocket. This way is used by the other third-party open source applications or framework provider, which allow us to write our scripts in any language and able to run on any set of devices. So we have gone with the second way over the WebSocket. And why we have gone, that is a way with the Appium Flutter driver. So the first one is directly you are using the Flutter driver within your application code, and second one is an Appium Flutter driver. There are few advantages that we are seeing and we are evaluated in our scenarios is like it doesn't restrict us to write the code in one language. Second thing is the most important one is like our application were having a scenarios, we were having an embedded web view, we were having some switching between the native codes to the Flutter code, and on those instances, Flutter driver was not able to fulfill that part. So Appium Flutter driver is providing us the flexibility that we can test even the things outside the scope of Flutter app, and that makes our choice easy. On the top of that, we got the flexibility of running tests on the multiple devices at once. Also, we have take utilization of the device farms. We set up our own test lab. Along with that, at one given point, we identified that there is no point of procuring all the test devices, so we started moving towards the test lab, browser stacks, source lab. There is a multiple provider there, so we just run our scripts and they start executing on the virtual devices, and we are able to do our device coverage as well. So that was the plus point. And using all those scenarios, we said that keeping our long-term focus, we go with the Appium Flutter driver. I'll just give you a very brief review about the Appium architecture and just give you a small demo so that you will know that how that simulation happened. And after that, maybe I'm not going to take too much time, so but we'll try to see some questionnaire around that. It's a Appium architecture is in a client-server architecture. So basically, you write your scripts, you make a connection with the Appium server over the WebSocket, and then that Appium server utilize the intended device depending upon what kind of connection you want to establish. If you have an iOS devices, it will go with the XUIT. If you have Android, then it will use Android Automator. Using that, it will execute all the scripts and keep doing all the test execution, and you will be able to get the result whether it's a pass or success. What we are able to achieve just, okay, before going to demo, or maybe I can just play it, so you can see that how the simulation goes. So this is basically going to do a setup, and then it will try to simulate the use case, how the user will be using the application. To keep it little bit short, I have just run the positive scenarios. But it can be done on virtual devices, and it can be integrated with your pipelines. At any given point of time, you don't need, you just, whenever you have a build available, you just trigger those, and it will automatically check all the positive scenarios, and will let you know that whether your application is fulfilling the basic sanity test or not. But along with that, what extra we are able to do just to make our automation process actually helping our devs in terms of proactively act on the problem. So as soon as we find the problem with our automation tool, we are able to take a screenshot, directly log that incident into our bug reporting tool. We are using Jira for that, and it gets notified to our devs. So as soon as our automation fails, the devs trigger with a screenshot that this is the problem, and it will be able to just do a map, a simplest kind of thing, whether it's a label mismatch or even a complete module is missing, or even if it is a 3-step process, it's happening in a 2-step process, or any discrepancy, it will be able to detect that, and you just need to have your script modified on those bases. But we have seen the advantage of it over a period of time. Our speed to market and quality has increased. We used to get earlier lots of production issues, but that has been significantly reduced, and our customers are also happy. I think I need to use this one to go to the next slide. So this is a like small strategy that we utilize in our organization. Is like test early, test often. If you try to do, there is an application you want to automate in a one sprint or a quick stretch, you might not be able to do it. You will just able to start somewhere, leave it in between, and then after that never come back to it. So that's why we have developed a process. In each sprint, we try to ensure that at least the features that we are picking up, we'll try to write the test cases around that, able to implement those test cases within those sprint, and when we are receiving those build completed, we will try to execute. And sometimes it overflows, but most of the time we try to keep it in a sprint. The idea behind is we should not be specifically spending effort to do automation separately. It should be a part of process so that quality remain a priority for us. And these are the few tips that basically you get most of the information on the Flutter sites. So you just search about it, and few things from the dev's perspective, what dev should be doing to ensure that uh, to prepare automation friendly builds, like key mapping is required so that it can be detected whenever that automation scripts can be done. Some advancement you can do, have those key placement in a centralized place, so that whenever you will be doing any changes, it will be communicated, and everyone should be aware about that, and even the QA team can also collaborate with the devs and able to utilize and take updates their test cases as and when required. So that will be all from me. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, so yeah, please.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. So as you said in the beginning, also that Flutter currently it is like a UI flow test rather than the actual integration test. Does Appium provide that? Because like I'll give you a use case where let's say I want to share something in macOS. So in the macOS window, when you click on, if you use the share plus package and you click on share, it opens up the macOS like a drop down, not the drop down, the menu item.
Yeah.
But you can't close that menu item from Flutter using the Flutter driver because it's a macOS native thing, the menu item.
So that's the thing, like I said, that Appium Flutter driver, what able to provide, it can you take you outside the scope of Flutter app as well. It can able to test you the embedded web view, native web view, or even simple web view, or even outside the app of scope, you will be able to trigger that. So Appium Flutter driver, you can do that. With Flutter driver, if you just try to do with the integration test, you will not be able to access.
So like Appium is has the native support for all the platforms. So
yes, Appium covers Dart plus native plus web views. So that's the complete coverage it is having, and it covers iOS, Android, and even other platforms as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Hello. Yeah. Is in one of the slides that Jira implementation was also mentioned. So how does exactly that Jira implementation? Can you explain that part?
Jira implementation in term of what?
Can you give an example? Means you have mentioned that you can specify the test cases in the Jira, and then it would automate that.
No. It was not that. I'll just
Okay.
take you back to the slide. It was just basically the test case execution, like test case writing. You are referring to this one?
Yeah, right.
So if you see the topic, this is a create tests in Jira. So basically you are defining the test in, like you are writing, you are defining, okay, this for this particular use cases, I will be doing that many manual test cases, that many automation test cases. So I am feeding everything into the Jira, and then I am exporting on the basis of the test case automation test code implementation. It happened in the third stage, once the test case is ready.
Okay. And
Yep.
after that, the automation would take care.
So once the automation test cases has been implemented, then we will test it with as soon as the build is available, we will test it with the build, and then we'll start sharing the report. So that is the complete process of the automation. So
Thanks.
does it answer your query?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So thank you everyone. Thank you for your time.